Hey, welcome to Minds Moving Mountains with Mel and Jen, two independently dependent soulpreneurs bringing information to women that moves them forward. Today's episode is the first in our Community of Coaches mini-series where we highlight local coaches who are doing the good work and helping women in the high country get unstuck and get moving. And our very first guest coach is none other than Jess Trone. Jess is a former attorney turned certified health and wellness coach specializing in female hormones. After 10 years practicing law, she felt called to a completely different path, one rooted in a personal health journey that spanned over a decade, during which she naturally healed herself of 3 endocrine conditions: prediabetes, PCOS, which is now commonly referred to as PMOS, and hypothyroidism. How did she do this? Well, she did it through research, trial and error, and sheer grit and persistence. That experience became her passion, and now she's on a mission to help other women reclaim agency over their own health. Jess is the founder of Vital Balance with Jess, where she coaches women on hormone health and wellness, and she also hosts a weekly podcast by the same name. All right, Jess, welcome. Thanks for being our first Community of Coaches guest. We have some experience with this.
Yes, we do. I'm very excited and grateful to be here.
So, Jess, you recently put out 2 episodes on health extremism.
Yes.
For folks who do not know what health extremism is, break it down for us.
Well, I did the episodes because I feel like it's a newer trend. The health and wellness industry has been rising the past 5 or 10 years, I'd say. And the health gurus want to come out with like the latest and greatest thing that people should follow that's going to make them feel so great. And a lot of times it's very extreme things. And what I mean by extreme is all or nothing approaches that just don't seem sustainable over time. There's a lack of balance. It's very rigid. The most common example would be a certain type of diet. Like the carnivore diet has been very popular in the past 5 or so years. And while it has helped people in the short term, at least, a lot of even the carnivore supporters after several years of being on it are now adding things back into their diet because they're realizing it's not well balanced. So that's a very common example that has surfaced and become very popular, but it's all over social media. And these gurus promote these things that when I talk to women about it, they just feel so overwhelmed. They're like, well, this person swears by it. And women are just drawn to weight loss. And so she lost 20 pounds. Look at her. Look at her in a bathing suit. She looks so good. So they want to follow it. And it causes stress and overwhelm. And like I said, it's not sustainable long term.
And there's not a lot of research being done by the viewers.
Yeah.
People, ask me things all the time too. And I'm like, you saw this on one social media post, just one.
Yes.
And now you're going to change your whole life because of one post. Yeah, it's scary.
Yes, it is. It is. And there's this one lady, I'll give an example. I actually heard her on Health and Wellness podcast, a pretty respectable podcast. And she was saying multiple extreme things. It wasn't just she came on and she said, I am a big supporter of the carnivore diet. It was that, but it was also, she went so far as to say that vegetables are poisonous. And she specifically went into this long history that may or may not have been true about carrots and how they're so bad for you. The only vegetables she eats is if they're fermented. So if you ferment them, according to her, they are no longer poisonous or toxins. She said she would never consider eating a bite of a chocolate chip cookie. She has been in ketosis, according to her, for 3 years straight without ever coming out of it, which, I doubt that's true. She went on and on and on, and it was just one extreme thing after another. And I was like, who is this lady? And how did she get on this pretty respectable podcast? So I look her up on Instagram. It was 995,000 followers. And that was months ago. So I'm sure it's over 1 million now. And I watched several of her videos, and it was just, it's extremism and alarmism. I think the algorithm must favor it and put it in front of people, because I'm like, how else would you have that many followers by saying things that when I watch the reels, I'm just like, oh my goodness, this is really detrimental for women, but somehow they're drawn to it.
Yeah, and I'm curious because we just did an episode with Nell Lawrence over at FA Fitness, and she said something that really resonated with me is, what beauty pageant are we trying to win, right? And so I'm curious if the intent behind the woman who is following these extremist viewpoints is it healthier for my body, or it's going to make me look a certain way, that beauty pageant way. And that's a big challenge for women to break through, to go from what do I look like, what do I want to look like, what do I seek to look like, to actually what does my body need?
Yes, 100%. And she was telling these women that what she was saying was for their health, but she mentioned aesthetics a lot. And I think that was the big push. And she was sort of disguising it as, I mean, it was both. It was both factors together, like you will look like me. And I will say, I mean, yeah, she had no body fat. She was wearing one of those belly shirts that showed off her six pack as she sat down. And if you can tell that she has a six pack when you're sitting, she's probably not eating enough calories. I wonder about things. I'm like, I wanted to ask, do you have a normal cycle? What are your hormones like? She didn't mention any of that. You know, it was purely aesthetics. And I think most women would look at her and unfortunately say, that is how I want to look. She was, I forget how old she is, in her 40s. I want to look like that in my 40s.
So do you think that's why she's gained so much traction? It's just because, once again, we focus back on
what we look like.
On what we look like.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
But what is her mental health like?
Yeah, exactly. And you don't know that, obviously, from listening to her on a 45-minute podcast. It's just...
That's just a hard life to live, to be that extreme.
Yeah.
You can't have a bite of a chocolate chip cookie?
I know.
I tell myself, you can only have two.
I have one every night, for the love of God.
I know. I know. It's just nuts. It is, yeah.
Yeah. And it's also kind of sad. So she made a comment towards the end where, so the podcast host was a little taken aback when she was like, you would never have a bite of a chocolate chip cookie. So the host asked a question basically like, so what about when you go to other people's houses? Are you just not going to eat what they prepare for you? And she said, I'll eat what I can out of what they prepare. She's like, and people tell me that all the time. What about the social aspect of food? She's like, well, that social connection is going to last 20 minutes, but that chocolate chip cookie is going to be forever on your butt.
No, it is
I mean,
not.
that's just the most ridiculous thing that anyone could ever...
I kid you not. I'll send you a link. I'm going to send you a link to this podcast episode.
That bite of cookie is not 3,500 calories, and that's how you gain a pound.
That is fake news. That is fake reporting. That is fake information.
I'm actually really surprised that whatever podcast we won't name you listen to allowed this to happen, but I guess this person has 1 million followers.
That's what it is. But if she has 1 million, think about how many listens the podcast is going to get because of this lady's 1 million followers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an avalanche. She's now on this other podcast that's going to get all the listens, and people are going to take this information and try to make it part of their life. And P.S., men that I talk to, strong, confident men want a strong, confident woman, and not strong as in stick thin, strong in mind, strong in body, strong in spirit.
And my husband says that to me all the time. But what is it about? It must not be what the men think. Is it what other women think? Like, what is it? What is the...
Mel, this is all here, right here, all for you.
Well, I think it's societal, right? Women seek affirmation and validation. That's how we feel like we're going to get love. As women, to sit back and think, who am I? How do I want to feel not having body fat? Why do you think people survived snowstorms and whiteouts and blizzards hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago? It's because they were not skin and bones. They had meat on their bodies to sustain them and survive. And we just lose this understanding of what our life could really be like if we just let go of some of the hold that the look has on us.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm telling you, it's the 90s. Like, growing up in the 90s, it was, I guess, before that too. But I grew up in the 90s, and it was just, the thing was to go to the drugstore, the grocery store, and get Cosmo magazine. Or I forgot what the other popular one was. 17, yes. And take the quizzes and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, come on, the models in those magazines, what you see, as a young middle schooler, high schooler, whatever, what you see, I mean, that, and they're in magazines.
Yep.
And I spend my money to buy these magazines. I should look like her, right?
Yeah.
You know?
And we had the magazines, and now the younger generations have the actual social media.
I know, which is worse.
And it's so much more manipulative, and with AI and editing and brushing and all these things that are so much more technologically advanced. It's even scarier.
Yeah.
And it is a mindset, because I had the mindset of I needed to be super skinny when I was growing up. My nieces have a mindset of I need to be strong.
Yes.
And they're 21 and 17. they're not into being super skinny. They're into being strong, lifting weights
Good.
properly. And so it's very interesting to look at who I was and what was going on in my mind back then and what is not going on in their mind. And they are rocking it. They're so confident. They're so happy. They're not worried about what a guy thinks, what a gal thinks. They just are living their life in a very healthy,
Well, that's
responsible
great.
way.
I'm glad the younger generation is.
Well, that's my
yeah.
example,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
I hope for others that it's that way. So talk to us about health and hormone wellness. What are you seeing with extremism?
So the extremism is more, I wouldn't say it's targeted towards hormones.
Right.
I think it's health in general, but it's all trickle down. It depends what demographic you're following as far as like the age of women. There's a ton of videos posted for women like 40 plus. It's all about perimenopause. So there will be accounts saying, you know, do this to make your perimenopause symptoms more manageable.
Seeing it all over the place.
Yeah. And it's just one thing after another. And some of it's good advice. But that's the problem is like, how do you filter that out? How do you determine what is legitimately good advice that is going to make you feel better versus this other stuff that is potentially going to make you feel worse?
Yeah.
And it's a filtering issue. And a lot of these gurus come across as very confident. I know exactly what I'm talking about, and they look a certain way, and they have a certain amount of followers, and all these things that make women think, well, if 1 million people are following this person, and she looks a certain way, and she's super confident, she must be right. It's difficult out there trying to filter everything and figure out what you should and shouldn't do. But women are wanting to help themselves. They're wanting to get healthy. It's just a matter of overwhelm because of the extremism.
Yeah, and everybody's body is different.
Yes.
Right? As women, we're going to go through menopause. And my body is not going to look the same as your body when we go through menopause. It's just not. The things that work for you may not be the things that work for me or for you.
Yeah.
That's just the way the cookie crumbles. And I was looking online recently, and I did see a post yesterday about a woman who has lipedema.
Yes.
And-
This is all this. Yes. Yes.
And she's, going through menopause, and she works out, she strength trains, she eats well, she does cardio every once in a while, she takes care of her mental health. She's ticking all the boxes, and you still can't see her six pack. And she says, people probably look at me and go, why don't you just work out a little bit? And she's like, I do every day.
That's probably coming down to genetics, for sure. That plays a huge part in people's bodies types and their type of muscle and how it shows on their body. And then some of those people that look super ripped may be unnatural. And in that sense, that means they're taking supplements that are probably steroidal. I work out all the time. Do I look super ripped and bulked out and all this stuff? No, but that's just how my body is, right? And I think it looks better in the sense of just being more natural, more yourself.
Right.
Why don't those things gain traction on the internet? You're getting realism, and it's only getting 1,000 views. And then we have this extremism, and she's getting 1 million views.
Yeah.
And the better information and a healthier life is this smaller one. But that's just the way life has been, right?
Yeah. And Jen's 100% right. Without taking something, there's a very small percentage of women who are going to look ripped or have a six pack. I mean, unless you just don't drink water for 3 days and you are extremely dehydrated, maybe you'll see a six pack.
No, I
if
never
you have
drink
one.
water, and I definitely don't have a six pack.
Well, yes,
I still have a pony keg.
point. That's my point. It's like, yeah, I don't know why women want the six pack. I mean, I don't know where that. I mean, because people will think they're more fit. I mean, I don't know.
Aesthetics.
Yeah,
It's always all about aesthetics, right?
yeah. I feel like it used to be just the men wanted the six pack, and now the women do. And I don't know. I'm all for weightlifting. It's incredibly healthy and important. I weightlift 3 or 4 days a week.
Yes,
So,
same.
but that's not what I'm saying. I'm just like, why is the focus the six pack? Like, let's just. I don't know. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, unless, trying to shift it into a little positive light, maybe women think if I have a six pack, if I have ripped arms, then I am proving to people that I am strong. And I am proving to people I'm putting the work in.
Yeah.
I mean, because it does feel good when somebody comes up to me and they said, oh, I can tell that you work out, or do you rock climb, or wow, your arms are ripped. And it's all different people that will say that to you. Now, is it a little odd that people are commenting on your body? Yes, I can handle it, but I know some people, it's very awkward for them. But it does make you feel good. But yeah, getting to the root of that, why? Where does that come from?
I also think it's a feeling. When I have my jeans on and I sit down and I feel that muffin top come over the jeans and I'm like, pulling it up, right? I notice that feeling. I don't like that feeling. Then I have to say to myself, hey, and I have this internal dialogue, which I do a lot, all the time. And it's like, hey, Mel, why don't I like that feeling? Is it really a feeling that I'm feeling, or is it someone else could see the muffin top creeping out? And then I'm like, I don't give a shit if someone sees the muffin top creeping out, because this is my body. I'm tending to my body. And I remind myself the good that I'm doing for my body every day.
As we sit here straight up sucking it in because of this camera angle.
Okay, so are hormones a magnet for health extremism?
And maybe we should explain hormones, because that's just such a general term, and what we're specifically talking about today with hormones. Because again, that's another overwhelming topic.
Yes. So typically when women talk about hormones, they are usually referring to sex or reproductive hormones. So estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. But what a lot of them don't realize is typically issues with the sex hormones, it's an issue upstream that is then affecting the reproductive hormones. And typically, not always, it is metabolic dysfunction. The symptoms will appear as, I'm having worse PMS, or my cycles are inconsistent, or I can't sleep well, I'm moody, I'm gaining some weight. And they all say, well, I think my hormones are out of whack. And typically women are referring to their sex hormones, but there's a ton of other hormones in our body. And a lot of times it's actually issues with those hormones because there's a hormonal hierarchy. So 2 common hormones that sit up higher in the hierarchy than the reproductive hormones are insulin and cortisol. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times women have issue with one or both of those hormones, and that is actually what is affecting their reproductive hormones.
Okay. Well, talk to us about those 2 hormones, the insulin and the cortisol.
So I'll start with cortisol. Cortisol is one of our stress hormones. And cortisol was really big on Instagram a couple years ago, maybe still a little bit. I don't see it as much. Like I said, there's the trends, like the trend. Yeah. And it was made to be a villain. And cortisol is not. Cortisol is a good hormone. We produce it every day. And it should be in sync with our circadian rhythm. So when we wake up in the morning, our cortisol within 2 hours of waking should be at its highest level, and then slowly taper off through the day and be the lowest at night. That's just a quick overview of cortisol. But what happens is throughout the day, if women are overly stressed or they're experiencing stressors to their body that would cause their cortisol to rise too much, they could have dysregulated cortisol, meaning they have too high levels of cortisol throughout the day, or they might have high levels at night. And that's a big issue with sleep then, because your body won't produce enough melatonin. When you feel stressed, you can't sleep because your cortisol is too high. So that's a very common hormone to be imbalanced or dysregulated. And then insulin is a hormone produced by the pancreas, and it's produced every time we consume carbohydrates. Carbohydrates convert to glucose. The pancreas produces insulin, which basically is a hormone that communicates with the body, telling the cells in our body to absorb that glucose. And we don't want high levels of glucose in the bloodstream, so we're telling other areas of the body to absorb that glucose, like our liver and our muscles, which is another reason why weightlifting is so important, because our muscles are a glucose sponge.
Because then otherwise the glucose becomes stored as fat?
Fat, exactly.
Right? Yep.
Yes.
Good.
Yes. And so if you're under-muscled, it's going to be much easier to put on fat because that glucose doesn't have anywhere to go. And it's stored as fat if the liver and the muscle don't absorb it.
Yeah, somebody once told me fat burns in a carbohydrate flame. Right? So that's why carbs are important to eat as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. I always say there is research on how going in and out of ketosis, that is when we are burning fat for fuel rather than glucose. So our body has 2 ways of producing energy, glucose and fat. And when your body doesn't have any glucose left, it will turn to fat.
Right. And, insulin and cortisol are definitely my biggest trouble. And when I went on the GLP-1s, the first real thing I noticed is it triggers your body to release the insulin at the right times. So I feel like my body was not really doing well with releasing the insulin at the right time, and it kept my blood sugar, the glucose, right, at a nice even keel. And so I didn't have those spikes and those 2 o'clock afternoon lulls because you drop and things. So for me, that was like probably the biggest thing I noticed that was different. You want to talk about how to fuel your body properly to help control these hormones.
Yeah, so I'm a big proponent of fueling your body, again, based on your circadian rhythms. Intermittent fasting has been pushed big time, and I'm not against intermittent fasting, especially if you want to like cycle in and out of that. However, it kind of became a thing with intermittent fasting where women wouldn't eat until lunchtime. And then what would a lot of times happen is they'd eat a decent sized lunch, but then because they hadn't fueled properly in the morning, they're so hungry by the time dinner happens that they're eating this very large dinner 2 hours before they go to bed. And that's going to contribute to sleep issues because your body is going to be trying to digest that huge meal in the first like 3 to 4 hours of your sleep when you're actually supposed to be getting the most restorative deep sleep. It just kind of backfires with women's goals rather than waking up and starting your day with a well-balanced meal. Because think about it, you're awake during those hours. You're doing your most productive things mentally and physically. And so you're able to burn through that glucose because you're actually like expending energy.
So cake for breakfast. Perfect.
Well, honestly, if you're going to eat cake, I would eat it for breakfast. It makes way more sense if you think about it. Like, why not use that cake to fuel your workout than eating it after dinner right before you go to bed? Where is all that glucose going, right? I mean, you don't have enough. The muscles and liver can't store as much as people might think, and then it is turning to fat because you're not using it as fuel.
As I've noticed my body shifting a bit, I'm starting to notice when I eat at 7:30 or 8, I don't get as restful sleep. I feel very heavy. I feel very unsettled. And so what we've started doing are yo-yos. And a friend of mine introduced yo-yos to me, which is you're on your own. And so
I thought maybe it was like ho-hos.
Yeah, I was going to say yo-yo. What is that?
You're on your own.
Okay, yeah.
And it's really nice. I need to eat by 6 p.m. or 6:30. Yeah. And that has really helped me. And I see the difference. I feel the difference when I wake up in the morning and I am just lighter. And I just feel like I got better rest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just that one thing.
Yeah, I know.
Makes a really huge difference.
I eat dinner at 5:30.
Yeah.
I mean, when obviously there's exceptions, like if I'm going out with friends or something, but like if I'm at home, dinner's at 5:30.
There's no extremism on dinner time.
Yeah,
with you.
Exactly. I know. You have to live life. Come on. Like.
Exactly. I really have appreciated being able to shift that time and do what I know is best for my body at this stage in my life.
Yeah, and I think for people like me who, I'm still at work at 5:30. Right. But I come home and cook or bring home dinner immediately. Right. Don't wait. And then I stay up a little bit later, so it's fine. And then I try to be careful of what I'm eating at night. So for those who don't have the luxury of having dinner at 5:30 or have a family and you want to all sit down and have a meal together, right? This isn't a restaurant, as we've all heard our moms say as we grew up, right? You can still make things work and just make better choices and maybe try to have the bigger lunch if you need to. But again, getting back to this, and especially if you've listened to our other podcast with Nell Lawrence, you still need to eat. You need to eat those calories. And most women actually undereat. I think they overeat, but they're actually undereating. Yeah. And I've shared my story that I definitely undereat. It's not extreme, but what did Nell say? Like 1,600 calories. Anything less than that is what kids should be eating.
Yeah. She said, why are we still trying to eat 1,200?
Yeah. Who made that up?
Yeah. Like when we were
kids.
And
again, it became a trend. Somebody put it out there.
I think the 1,200 for decades, perhaps. I mean,
that's almost been like a standard, 12 to 1,500, right?
Absolutely.
Which is
it's done
not
a lot
enough.
of damage.
It has
done a lot of damage.
It has.
Yeah.
And hopefully these healthier trends, the ones that are based on the research and science, will gain more traction. And I think they have, because you've already showed your example. And I agree with you that the younger generations are on that stronger train.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't believe how many students, college students, were at the 6 a.m. classes. I was getting home at 6 a.m. when I was in college in the 90s. And certainly not going to sleep anytime soon. Yeah, you're just so wired from the night and things. It's just so much more unhealthy.
Have you ever crossed the line into extremism and had to kind of come out of that, have that moment of insight and clarity on this may not be the right thing for me?
Yeah, I mean, when I was younger, I was more prone to it, I think. I've gotten a little bit better. My activity levels have changed a lot in the past 5 months. I had knee surgery, and I just kept eating the same way that I had been eating, and I was very active. And for the first few months after the surgery, my activity level was drastically reduced. And I needed to reduce my carbohydrates because I wasn't using that energy. And my body started to change, and I realized that I lost a lot of muscle, and I had started to put on some excess fat. I'm cutting out carbs cold turkey. And I did this in my luteal phase. It was terrible. I was so
luteal.
Okay, so that's the second half of the menstrual cycle after ovulation. Okay. So that would be like the 2 weeks leading up to
like 14 to 28 if you're using the basic normal scale, which nobody's ever really on.
Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. That's actually the phase of the menstrual cycle where you need a little bit more carbohydrates. And so, and I did the opposite. And I wasn't doing it based on my cycle. I was like ignoring my cycle because I was like, I just want to do it now. And I need to change my body composition a little bit because my circumstances have changed. And I was so irritable and so moody. My husband was like, stop, get off this diet. Like, this is not worth it.
It is so true though, right? You are so irritable when you have no carbs. It's crazy.
Well, some people say, okay, so I don't know how much you guys know about ketosis, but a lot of people say once your ketones get to a certain level that you will actually be in a euphoric state. So I don't know if you guys have ever experimented with this at all. But
I've peed on the sticks.
On the sticks. Yeah. So I got into ketosis, and so I used a blood meter. So it'll actually tell you, like, rather than the sticks are not as specific of how many ketones.
Because you're all in. Of course.
Yeah. So exactly. I had to get the blood meter, right? And so my levels were pretty high to the point where a lot of people on the internet, because everybody on the internet knows what they're talking about, is like, you will feel so much better. I had the exact opposite experience. So for me, this goes back to the bio-individuality. We are all so different. This is why I really encourage women to experiment for themselves and how their body responds to certain inputs. And you know how you feel. Like, if you feel better, if your brain fog has been lifted by doing a certain thing, then you should probably keep doing that.
Right. And what that takes is awareness.
Yes.
And noticing.
Yes. And that's hard for a lot of women.
Okay, so you have to be aware, experiment, discover what works for you. Because committing to one thing and only one thing really eliminates all the other learning and understanding that's out there for you and your body. Because you're just thinking that this one thing is going to work.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. As what works for you does not work for every single other person out there. And that is proven time and time and time again, because how many fad diets are out there? Right?
Countless.
If there was one that worked for everyone, there would be one fad diet.
Exactly.
Well, even the GLP-1s, there's a small percentage of people that it does not affect them and they lose no weight. And then there's user error or how what they're eating is affecting them. And so when you're putting things into your body, how you feel and how you react, it's all on you. It's you. And again, going back to that awareness.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's a great takeaway for this podcast today is experiment. Don't be extreme about it. Give yourself grace. Write things down if you need to. How did I feel after I ate that heavy dinner? How did I sleep? What did I do differently? Sometimes there isn't an answer.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yeah.
Right. And that's okay too. That's where you have to give yourself that grace. But so how did you get yourself out of this ketosis? Because obviously you're not in your ketogenic diet anymore.
Yes. So
besides the husband telling you need to quit.
Sweet husband. And look, that's data, right? That's data.
Well, I'm doing what I tell women to do. And again, it's like I fall prey to human nature. Like,
but it makes you real and it makes you approachable and understandable.
I hope so.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just aware of my carbohydrate intake. I'm trying to consume carbs commensurate with my activity level. It's awareness. I wanted to change my body composition fast. I thought that meant doing something extreme. I mean, in hindsight, I knew that probably wasn't going to be the case, but it was one of those things where a switch flips in my brain. And there's been a lot of mental adjustments too with this surgery and being a different person than I was. I'm the same person, but I've had to make huge adjustments because of the surgery, and that's affected my mental health too. And so I was more prey to that extremism, I think, because my mental health was struggling a little bit. So I'm just more aware. I had a way of eating that worked for me, that had worked for the past, basically since postpartum, having my daughter, she's 5. I'd been eating kind of the same way for 5 years, but my activity level stayed the same those 5 years. And now that it's changed, it's a different season of life. You just have to adjust.
Told you this in a million texts because we had surgery almost the same time. I kept telling you, we will get back on track, but you have to be patient.
Yeah, which is hard sometimes. So hard. Yeah. But everybody's different. Everybody's journey is different. Everybody's recovery is different. Yeah. And mentally, it's very hard. Yeah. It is, but it's just a season, and
this shall pass.
This too shall pass. And I also think acceptance is the answer. There was a surgery. There is work that has to go into coming back from that surgery. That's acceptance. It's happened. Now, what am I going to maintain consistently to get me through that? And that understanding that all of these thoughts that we're having about not being who we were or being able to eat the way we were don't have to mean anything. We can do what is best for us and know what is best for us to get back to that natural rhythm, or maybe even a modified rhythm based on the circumstance. Maybe the person won't get back to where they were, and that's okay too. But we figure that out because we know what we need to do. One of the things that we've talked about, which I think is extremely important to note here, as women, we get our hormones tested. We get a readout of our hormones. But tell us why we need to seek out people who can really understand the depth of the data. The OBGYN says, you're great. Like, don't get dramatic. It's all going to sort itself out, blah, 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 blah. What do you say to the women who are hearing that feedback, but they know that something is not right?
Well, first of all, they know their bodies. If they don't feel like themselves, then they need to look elsewhere. Now, 2 things with the blood work. One is the ranges are very wide sometimes, and they're based on the general population, which is arguably not very healthy anymore, unfortunately, in this country. And so just because you fall within the normal range doesn't mean that is what's optimal for you. And secondly, a lot of times blood work provides an incomplete picture because doctors aren't testing everything they should. And a very common example of that is with thyroid issues. So a lot of times doctors on a standard hormone panel will test only one thyroid marker, TSH. And while TSH can be an indicator that something is off with your thyroid, you want to get a complete thyroid panel, and most doctors don't run that. So you can always ask specifically.
Advocate for yourself.
Yes. But those are 2 common reasons why your blood work could be, quote, normal, and you still don't feel good.
Right. We want our listeners to understand that there are people right here in this community who can support them on this journey and who can dig into what their lifestyle is in a more focused, meaningful, not get in, get out kind of way so that you can build a plan. And that's what you do with your clients, is you help them understand what's happening in their body so that they can get to that state of physical well-being.
Yeah, breaking through that surface level.
Yeah.
Right, getting deeper.
Yeah. Well, the way the current healthcare system is set up, unfortunately, doctors are only allocated a certain amount of time with each patient, and it's not enough time to actually go into the details of a specific person's life. And that is what I help women with. I can look at their blood work. I'm not a medical practitioner, so I am not going to diagnose them with anything. But if they have a diagnosis and they need help understanding lifestyle changes that they can make to try to mitigate their symptoms, that's what I help them do. And I just spend a lot of time getting to know them and what their issues are and how they feel and what changes they think they're currently capable of making. And really, I try to be a supporter of them because a lot of times women don't think that their doctors are. And I mean, unfortunately, that's the sad reality. I like to think I'm kind of that link in the healthcare system where the women can come to me and get that sort of support and in-depth analysis with them as a person that they're not going to get from their healthcare provider.
Yeah. I can tell you I've learned a lot from you. A lot from the information that you share. I'm certainly grateful that you're part of this community and the good work that you're doing for these women.
Thank you.
And I would definitely recommend that if you are one of these women struggling with understanding your hormones, finding realistic, healthy ways to improve your experience of life from a hormone and a physical wellness standpoint, to reach out to you. Okay, before we close,
Yes.
what's your favorite thing? So favorite thing is a highlight of the podcast, something that someone can buy, can read, can explore, experiment with. It's something that you would want to share with people.
Okay, this is the thing I've been sharing with people a lot lately is Creek Song Farm. They are a farm in Ashe County. I have been part of their CSA for 3 or 4 years. I don't know. I lose track of time. They're at the Watauga County Farmers Market. Okay. So a plug for that as well. I try to go every Saturday. It is such a good farmers market.
It really is.
It's amazing.
It's so good. For a small town, I've gone to farmers markets and I don't think they compare most of the time. Yeah, but Creek Song Farm, they're at the farmers market every Saturday, but they also have a CSA, which I believe stands for Community Supported Agriculture. Farms do this because they need money up front before the start of the season, like for seeds and supplies and stuff. And you pay at the beginning of the season, so they have that money up front to start each season. But you get a specific amount of vegetables every week. And
you can buy like a quarter or half or a full share,
half
right?
or a full.
A half or a full for them? Okay.
Yes. And it's just great. You will get stuff that you could never get at the grocery store. It tastes so much fresher, so much better.
Yes.
And it's run by a family, and they are super nice people, and I really love their farm.
I love that
So
share.
I encourage
That's good.
you. Yeah, I encourage
it's a share of a share.
It's a share.
Well, and the other thing is, you know how this big bacterial outbreak?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the poop lettuce.
Yes. Someone was like, aren't you
love
worried
saying
about that?
poop.
You eat a lot of vegetables. This time of year, I don't even go to the grocery store for them. I get them all at the farmer's market and through the CSA.
Yeah.
And no, I don't worry about it because it's the way it's run. There's less chance that you're going to get sick from the food. So,
100%.
Yeah.
It's not the local farmers.
It's not, no. And honestly, and also stay local. Like support the
Yeah.
local families. Not only is it going to be better for you because it's picked like the day before, so it's fresher and has more vitamin and mineral content, but it tastes better and you're supporting a local family. So it's like win-win. You know?
It's a win-win
Yeah.
all the way
That's
around.
a great favorite thing.
Yeah, I love it.
Thank you for
Thank you
sharing.
so much, Jess.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
All right, and to cap us off, tell us how our listeners can get in touch with you.
Well, I have a website, jessicatrone.com, and I'm on Instagram at Vital Balance with Jess.
And your podcast is
Yeah,
also...
my podcast. Yeah. It's also called Vital Balance with Jess, and it's a weekly podcast, and episodes come out every Wednesday.
Yeah.
This was the first time we had a podcast guest that's a podcaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
We'll take all the feedback you got.
Yeah.
Well, I'm no expert. So, but.
Well, we are so grateful, and thank you for being our very first community of coaches guest on Minds Moving Mountains.
Thank
we
you
love you, Jess.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.